This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 15th of February, 2022. We just missed Valentine's Day. My name is Patrick Smith. A week of attrition for the Belfast Giants. It spawned 7 points out of the available 8. The 0-2 stumble in Tayside was the only thing stopping that full house. But given what was on offer and given what was returned, I think you can consider it a very successful road trip for the Belfast Giants as they return home this week against the Fife Flyers. On this week's show, we're going to cover those 4 games in 5 days. Have a look at some of the news around the league. Sis chatted to David Goodwin and Jordan Boucher over a round of golf, and we'll tackle some of your questions that we got through on Twitter. Mr. McGimsey, keeping well?
Good evening, Patrick. I'm not too bad, thank you.
Yeah, and Simon, you warm?
Nope.
I'll
be freezing.
Freezing. Well, we'll make this a short one, mate, so you can have a warm shower. Joel, how's it going?
Yeah, all good, boys. Best part of the week. Happy to see you.
Right, we're going to get stuck in straight away, but of course, I'm not as prepared as I should be. We're going to start with the game against the Coventry Blaze. It was a 7-1 win for your Belfast Giants. Evan Bloodoff scored early, 3 minutes into the game, and that was the only goal that the Coventry Blaze scored. And the goals for the Giants: Conway, Knight, 2 from Ben Lake initially, Conway again, Cooper, and then the hat-trick on 59-22 from Ben Lake. In nets, Jordan Headley, 30 shots against, 7 goals against for the Blaze. And the other side, Tyler Beskarwani, 19 shots against, 1 goal against. Your refs were Liam Sewell and Andrew Miller. Davy, despite the early goal against the Giants, controlled the game against what would you consider to be a heavily depleted Blaze side.
Yeah, I'm sure the Blaze going into it, they'd got a lot of two-way players and stuff coming in, of which a few played really, really good games. And they knew they were going to be under pressure. Obviously, Headley and nets instead of CJ Mott. Headley had gone 2 games for 2, being man of the match. And I actually think he might have got man of the match against it. No, Antonov got man of the match, didn't I? I remember him going down. But just to come back on the game sheet being wrong, Kieran Long scores the last goal rather than than Ben Lake. You'll see it in the highlights later on. Just back post snipe to Doggett diving in to try and get the puck in, and Longer at the back post with a stick just to round the game out. Pretty comfortable win for the Giants. It was what we really needed, what we wanted for starting the road trip of having 4 games in 5 days, or 6 days on the road. And a couple of really one highlight from that game for me was the backhand sauce pass right at the width of the ice from Tyler Soy. I think it's the Coops breaking in the goal, and he goes in. So I really love some nice play from us, and as I say, as comfortable as you'd want to get on the first game in 4.
Simon, like I say, the Giants were up against a heavily depleted. We already knew that CJ Mott was going to be out based on his COVID scenario, and then it was announced that they were drafting in guys from the Bracknell Bees and all over to play for them. But the Giants had to do a professional job. Now, I remember, that first goal going in, and we all sort of rolled our eyes, going typical of the Giants going up against a depleted squad and letting one go. But then it turned very professional.
Yeah, but look, it's games like this when I think back to the Newcastle Vipers day when they come into Belfast with 11 players and beat us.
Yeah.
So, you've got to beat what's in front of you. It doesn't matter, who's in the lineup or who's not in the lineup. You've got to concentrate on what you have. And you just touched on it, Paddy. It was a very, very professional performance. Going to 1 goal down, sort of giving the kick in the backside that they needed. You fly over that morning and obviously you get ready for the game, and it's a difficult place to go into as the best of times. So coming out with the way we played, the way the victory was, the way the performance was, and not using up too much energy after going 4-5 up, you sort of, to be honest, I don't even think we come out of second gear. But it's games like that, as I say, you can trip up on. And it was a good performance, good setup for the first 2 points of the week, because going on the tougher games over the weekend, and as I said, it's a difficult one to get out of the way, and it is just that it's out of the way now. We picked up 2 points against the Coventry Blaze and moved on to Dundee.
Joel, Davy's corrected me there on Ben Lake not scoring the hat trick, but he did score 2, and he knows that ice and he knows how to score on it.
Yeah, Benlake continues to produce in the Sky Dome, which is great to see. You know, like Paddy, there really is. The only summary for this, you can't ask for more, as says, than coming into your first game of 4 in a midweek in Coventry, and by the time you hit the third period, you're in game management mode. The fact that you have Benlake, who knows that ice, who knows how to score in that building, but he's far from the only one. Fantastic to see scoring up and down the lines. But you know what? To be fair, before we move on from this game, I actually thought Jordan Headley looked like a good goalie. And I know that sounds silly in a 7-1 victory, but for a young British goalie playing with a makeshift D and no less than 4 of those 2-way contracts from the EIHL coming up to bolster that Blaze lineup, I think he did as much as he could. And there were actually a number of really athletic saves from him. Be nice just to see, and he's only kind of early to mid-20s, I think, and it'd be nice to see another Brit goalie kind of establish himself in the league. You wonder in a year or two, if he keeps getting regular minutes, could he do a job somewhere?
Davy, was it you suggested last week that he might have been the hot hand to go with, even if CJ Mutt was...
No, it wasn't me. It was Ben Bounds. Ben Bounds suggested it on Twitter, and I was quoting Mr. Bounds.
Easy to make that mistake between the two.
It is easy.
We've got the same amount of league championship medals hanging on our bedroom wall. So it's a true story. Hopefully Bouncy, find his way to Belfast sometime and win some more. But listen, he did very well, as Joel said. He did well for what was in front of him. You suggested last week when I said that bit of a difference playing against the Manchester Storm, who can be up and down in terms of form and coming against the Belfast Giants. But I know we've got to keep moving.
We will keep moving. That's what you get the highlights from that from Blaze TV. And we'll move on to Friday's game in Dundee. Well, we'll take both. I'll give you the statistics for both games and we'll talk about Dundee. The Belfast Giants had 2 games and 2 nights against Dundee in the DIA, which I think rounds out their trips to Tayside for the season, shy on them facing Dundee in the playoffs, in the quarterfinals. Friday's game was unfortunately a 4-3 overtime defeat for the Belfast Giants. Benston, Rutgers and Benston again on the power play, 2 for him, and then Connor Sills with the overtime winner, 1 minute and 56 in. For the Giants, David Goodwin, Pickenich and Cam Knight were the scorers. Adam Morrison that night had 33 shots against and 3 goals against. Tyler Beskorowany, the other side, 26 shots against, 4 goals against. The referees were Cameron Fox and Pavel Hallis. And switch over to the other one because then we faced them again, having been beaten the night before. We went in and decided this time we'd do a job on them, and we faced them and we beat them. Bring it up, Patrick. 7-0. No scores for the Dundee Stars, and your scores for the Belfast Giants were Cooper, Lake, Soy, Cooper again, Soy again, Pickenich, and rounding it off was Scott Conway. I'll leave Davy to correct any of those.
Tyler Soy's second was actually scored by Slater Doggett.
Who does
every
these
game?
These come directly from the Elite League website. Who does this, and why aren't they corrected before we do the podcast?
I believe they're corrected on a Wednesday.
Oh well, that's no good to me.
Doesn't help us.
No good to me. Well, it's good you hear that to correct this, Davy. In goals, Adam Morrison, 25 shots against, 6 goals against, lasted 40 minutes before Britton Priest came in, 4 shots against, 1 goal against. He lasted the last 20 minutes. For the Belfast Giants, Tyler Beskorowany, 9 shots against, no goals against before he retired injured. In came Jackson Whistle, 13 shots against, no goals against, 36 minutes played. On your referees were Daniel Ferguson and the best referee from the Northeast. His mum told me it's Steve Brown, who went on to do some National Ice Hockey League later. I got a text from our good friend Mr. Craig Simpson on that. But yes, Steve Brown was the referee. Says, what went wrong on Friday that went right on Saturday?
We didn't turn up the second period. That's it. The second period just wasn't good enough, and I think Adam commented on it. We came out really, really well in the first and played very, very well in the third. I thought we dominated both those periods, but giving up 3 goals in the space of about 6 or 7 minutes in the second just sort of deflated us. We did really well to come back into the game on Friday night, get it back to take it to overtime, because that point could be crucial down the line. And again, when it gets to overtime, you get a chance to go one way. You've got a shot on goal, and all of a sudden you're you're up against it, trying to basically chase back for Connor Sills, who's just seems to be having a couple of goals against us this season as well. So it was important, as I say, to get that point and try and take it to overtime, which we did, because as I say, I thought it was a really good fight back in the third. And do you want me to cover part of the Saturday as well, or just
cover as you want to do it, mate? I'm just going to throw up the goals as they come.
The Saturday was absolute dominance. I don't think we did anything wrong on Saturday. We didn't give them a sniff. Even Besco going down, it was funny the night. And Sarah, Besco's wife, put on Instagram and the Facebook Besco falling over with a wee bit of music on it is very humorous. And I said to Besco tonight about it, like he was at the golf fair tonight, so he's feeling a wee bit better, and hopefully he'll be back on the ice either tomorrow or Thursday. But absolute dominance, a really, really solid performance on the Saturday. I didn't think we give them anything. I don't know what the shots on goal. Davy might be able to come up with that, but we just dominated every aspect of the game. Really great to see Jackson get the shutout. Ultimately, I think it is his shutout, isn't that right, Davy? With still class as Besco shutout.
No, it's
come on.
Classed as a team shutout.
Oh, is that right?
The win goes to Besco, but the shutout goes to the club. It might even be our first. That's correct, yeah.
I never knew
that.
Neither goaltender gets the shutout. It goes down as a club shutout.
I don't like that.
But Besco gets the win as being the goaltender who was in nets when the game-winning goal was scored.
Yes.
So he could be on for 1 minute, score in the first minute, go out injured after 1 minute, be 1-0 up, win the game 7-0, get the win. But that's just statistics. And see, when you're just to jump across there, see that first goal, the work by Conway is sensational. The tight turn behind his own blue line and to go the length of the ice to be the man that assists Goodwin. It's an incredible piece of play.
Well, Jolie, sorry, I was going to say, Jolie, coming to you on that, Dundee, we knew was a tough place to go. We've had our problems with them home and away. So, for them to take 2 points off us, I have to say, isn't that much of a shock overall. It's good that we were able to pull one back and get one out of there. And then to show our class the next day just proved that, we are a team higher up the league.
I think it's on a view from the bridge cliche by now, but I feel like we said a lot that Omar Pasha will always at some point get a big result over the Giants. And I feel like he's done it more than once this season. There's obviously
too many times.
Very disappointing defeat at the SSE, which stuck in the throat for a little while. But look, you have to look at the positives of the character comeback in that third period. Simon's obviously right, and the coach alluded to it in interviews as well, that the Giants kind of lost the run, but by conceding those 3 in a row in short space at the end of the second. But thank you to friend of the show, friend of the Belfast Giants, friend of Jordan Boucher, Kyle Haas, for that garbage slashing penalty to open the third period, which obviously opened the door for JJ Pickenic to hammer back that 3-2. And 3-2 is a whole different hockey game at the start of the third period. And obviously then the equaliser came just before 10 minutes to go. So big thanks to Kyle Haas for that. We obviously needed that. Much appreciated.
Davey, a bit of I'll let you take up with regards to Friday's game as you want, but also on Saturday's game, if you were to listen to the commentary as well, that they sort of focused quite a bit on it with the controversy over Tyler Soy's first goal.
I don't know. It's what?
Oh, sorry, Tyler Soy's only goal.
Well, here it is. You've just timed this perfectly, because it's Pickenic puts it across here, and Soy's, I think I've slowed down and blew up the next angle. If we're very, very fortunate just here with our timing. For me,
Davy.
For me, Soy's foot is planted as it hits his skate, and then he moves his foot. So, when it hits his skate's planted in the ground, and you're allowed to direct a puck in the net with your foot. For me, good goal. So that's all I got to say on that. It's a good goal. The referees went and looked at it, got it right. So, we don't often credit them when they do things right. We're like the slabber at them when they do things wrong, but they got that one right as far as I'm concerned. On Friday night, I was obviously down at the Lion King. There's Ronaldo scoring. I was down at the Lion King, so I didn't get to watch the game until Saturday morning. And then I phoned Simon and was chatting to him. And I just think the difference between Friday and Saturday, although Simon says absolutely perfectly about the second period, execution in terms of shooting, we didn't shoot the puck enough, and we didn't shoot the puck in good positions on Friday night. On Saturday night, we just came out, we shot everything. I think did I text you earlier like 100 shots or something ridiculous?
It was ridiculous,
and, was that Friday or Saturday? You can bear with me one second. Only take me 1 second to throw this up. That's Friday's game.
Sunday against
Fife. So Saturday against Dundee, 27 grade A chances, and we got down low in the slot there. We took our chances on Friday night or Saturday night. Sorry, so many games, so many nights. But well deserved. And this team does really well, leads well. You get one or two up, they're a really good team. They don't go away either. To be fair to them, on Friday night and Sunday night, which we'll come on to, we had to come from deficits to get ourselves back in the game, and the boys kept trucking, even though it was the fourth game of the weekend. But as far as Friday goes, a bit disappointing, because I felt, and statistically would back me up, I felt we were the better team. Dundee didn't go away, and unless you put these teams away, they can come back and bite you in the ass, which has happened to us a few times over the course of the season. So you got to get those chances. When you get them down low, you gotta convert, you gotta execute, as Adam Keefe would say. And we went into Saturday night and we executed really well, and thoroughly deserved, obviously, a 7-0 blowout. Felt a bit sorry for Pash whenever that goal went in from which we're back round to again. But good goal, and they sort of crumbled at that stage a wee bit for about 10 minutes. They lost the run themselves a wee bit, and by that time it was 5-0, 6-0 game dead and buried, and that allowed us to, as Joel talks about game management, allowed us to really take the foot off the gas a wee bit in the third period.
Interesting, just to come to you on this, Simon, is the fact that if you do feel hard done by, and I'm very, very disappointed in Omar Pasha that he didn't slam the door when he was talking to the referee. I was willing him on to slam that door in frustration after Soy's goal. But there are two ways to respond to that. One, you crumble, or two, you fight back. And I kind of was disappointed to see Dundee didn't fight back at all, and you end up getting what is a narrative coming out of the game, especially from the commentary, of it all comes down to that third goal, when it really didn't.
No, I mean, again, we topped it. I know I was listening to Pash, his interview after the game, and he was very disappointed with everything that they did. And he did mention about the third goal was crucial. It wasn't at all. We were not going to lose that game on Saturday night. I don't care what way they look at it at all. The boys were disappointed with not getting 2 points on the Friday night, disappointed with not coming out for the second period, and disappointed with conceding those 3 goals. So, you talk about professional performances, and you get those 7 goals on the Saturday night. It was absolute dominance. I've already said it, and it was probably one of our better performances of the season, to be honest. I thought we just played really, really well all over the ice. One of the things that I don't know if you caught up on it, and I didn't see it from the first camera angle, but there was an incident on the Friday night when Morrison, we were on a penalty. We ended up getting a 2-on-1 shorthanded chance going the other way, and Morrison shakes his helmet to throw it off in the middle of a 2-on-1. And it's becoming an absolute joke. He does that all the time. The same as Carruth. Many times did he knock a net off the other night. And, I have to be careful about, talking about officials and not doing things right, because I know it's been a contentious issue this weekend. But somebody's got to catch on to this.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to catch on to this, because Morrison does it all the time. All the time. He takes, how many times this season, Davy, because again, you pay attention to this sort of stuff. How many times this season has he went over to take a bit of time to maybe fix his helmet or go to the bench and get looked at? Get him off the ice and get another bloody goalie on. It's becoming an absolute joke. And he did it the other night again. He threw his helmet off when we were a 2-on-1, short-handed opportunity. And I thought it was a bloody disgrace.
Was it him that stopped for a couple of paracetamols earlier in the season?
Aye,
on the ice?
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Trainer on
get
the
off the ice and get more. But again, listen, the same as Carruth last week. Carruth, how many times did he kick his net off last weekend? At least 4 times.
And difficult to kick, quite difficult to kick him off in the Odyssey too.
You're absolutely 100% correct, because they've got the pegs in the bottom of him. 100%. Rant over.
Paddy, another thing that we haven't mentioned just about that 7-0 win, another brilliant night on special teams, 3 power play goals out of 5 power plays and 100% on the penalty kill. It's just lovely to see that consistency continue to tick along and that we continue to contribute on special teams.
Yep, absolutely. Right, let's move on to the final game. The highlights from that game, both from Dundee Stars. I think you get highlights and extended highlights, which I think are about half an hour per game, but fair play. We go on to Sundays.
Yeah, no.
You go into Sunday's game against the Fife Flyers in Kirkcaldy, and it was another attritional one. The Belfast Giants ultimately winning in the shootout 3-2. Thacker and Chris Lawrence scoring on the power play for the Fife Flyers. David Goodwin, Slater Doggett with just under a minute and a half to go, levels it to bring it into overtime. It ultimately goes to the shootout, and David Goodwin is credited with the shootout winner. Shane Owen in nets for the Fife Flyers, 44 shots against, 2 goals against. And Jackson Whistle, 32 shots against, 2 goals against. Pavel Hallis and Alan Ward are your referees for that game. Joel, obviously, and I'll put this down as well, maybe to the loss of Jordan Boucher earlier in the week, who obviously did nice in this game, but there was a real lack of jump, a winning outcome, but were the Giants tired?
I thought that the body language and just the I don't know if it was maybe me just reading too far into it because it was game 4 of the week, but they even just looked labored in the way they were transitioning and the way they were stepping off to stride. They just it looked a little bit slower and more labored than usual. I think you can always see it in these kinds of games. You have absolutely nothing happens in that game until the 32nd minute when Fife score their opener, a penalty free first, absolutely nothing going on in that first period. Just not enough tempo, not enough kind of edge to create any chances and make something happen. I did think that the goalie duel between Owen and Wiss in that first period was probably the only real entertaining thing from the early game. The pair of them were sort of taking turns at making a couple of decent saves, and I think that Wiss gave a good account of himself stepping in for Besco on the road. But again, whenever it came down to it, for it being the 4th game, for going behind a goal, the Giants had to go into, and that's a difficult building. We've talked about Kirkcaldy before, the Fife Ice Arena being a difficult building to go to. The fans are right on top of you. There's no segregation between the penalty box and the crowd. They're right above you in the benches. It's an intimidating atmosphere as far as hockey in the UK goes. So to come in there, probably tired, probably everybody dinged up, feeling it, to go a goal down and to find a way to dig yourself out and to make it happen. That was a character win, and you keep seeing those little glimpses of kind of character and being able to haul the game on your back whenever it's not going your way and make something happen. We just need to take that and drop it onto games against the Sheffield Steelers and the Cardiff Devils. That's going to make you challenge for championships. But that was probably the game of the week that I enjoyed the most. I enjoyed that more than the 7-0 thrashing. It was lovely to see the boys not win pretty, winning ugly, still winning. And I don't care how you do it. We came out of there with the points, and it was brilliant to see.
Like we've said it many times, Davy, 4 games in 5 days. This was the 3rd in 3 days. Fife themselves just travelled up from Guildford, all the way up from Guildford back for that game. So both teams suffering from either travel or from lethargy or from fatigue from the schedule. But ultimately, again, you just look at the fact that the Giants were able to get that goal from Slater Doggett on 50-33 and turn it into a 2-point.
Got seeing it out, I suppose. We came out very, very well in that first period. We had 41 shots, 20 on target in that first period. Like we should really have won this game pretty comfortably. Credit where it's due. Fife blocked 36 shots. Blumenschein blocked 7 on his own. Lawrence blocked 6. These players were dying in front of their goaltender to keep that out. And sometimes you come up against a team that just don't want to be beaten. Go down the stats, 40 grade A chances. And it's one of those. Yes, energy levels are probably down. Take away that it's 4 games. You're 6 days away from your own home comforts, not in your own bed. You're eating and wherever they're eating all the time. You're takeaway coffee and tea every time you want to drink. You're sleeping in unfamiliar beds. You're always transiting. You're in buses. You're in planes, trains, airplanes, whatever. So it was a difficult road trip. It was the 4th night. We're playing banged up. When you look at it, give me a second. Or like the top, from top to bottom, we played really well. The top 6 carried the weight in terms of point scoring, and then you had the likes of Hookie and Longer coming in, not scoring as many points, but contributing really well. And Slater Doggett, 9 points across on +5 across the weekend, or across the Wednesday to Sunday. For me, probably the man of the little road trip. I thought Scott Conway did really well. Face-offs, setting up players, and Pickenick and Goodwin with him are doing really well. Goaltending was pretty good. Right? So right through the trip, I think if you take it as a whole, circle right back to the start of the Coventry game. If you'd have said to us last Tuesday night when we were doing this podcast, boys, we're going away on this 6-day trip here, I wouldn't like to be working out what the hourly rate is there for some of the boys, but you know, at our McDonald's maybe. But in terms of if you'd said I'll give you 7 points out of 8, when I look back at the games, and I think when Adam Keefe looks back at the games, he'll be disappointed not to get the 8th point, because I think overall we actually deserved in those games to win those games in terms of chances, in terms of grade A's, in terms of good goaltending, in terms of good defense. You know, we coughed up a couple of PKs at bad times. 1 the 5-on-3, I think we conceded on. But, you know, we've scored power play goals across the weekend. We've scored lots of even strength goals. We've carried the play in all 4 games. And, you know, if we would have had 8 out of 8 points, it would have been fantastic. 7 out of 8 is really good. I thought towards the end of the third period was the time that I thought we started to look tired. I thought through the first 40 minutes, we've got this in the bag here, but it just wasn't to be. But 7 out of 8, I'll take that all day long.
Both of our goals in that Fife game on the power play.
So
you come up with that last one. That last one's big. 2 minutes or so left, having the balls to pull West to get that 6th man on there, and Slater Doggett would coughed it up. JJ Pickens goes back in there and wins that puck back before they get to send it up the ice, or it's game over. Pick manages to get it across the ice then to Doggett, who turns and shoots, gets a goal. And, you know, at that point, I'll not tell you what I shouted when I was ironing.
When you were ironing.
Simon, what did you shout when it was a nice wee one?
You can ask Jasmine. She was up the stairs and heard me. I was at the front of the house. She was at the back of the house, and she still heard me. So yeah, it was a good effort. But look, I'm just listening to the boys talking about, you know, the fatigue and they look tired and stuff like that. In all fairness, lads, you would look absolutely busted playing 4 games in 5 days, whether it's playing football or hockey.
Yeah.
I've been there before, and it is not easy, especially having 3 lines. We play with 3 lines all weekend. Obviously, Bush had tried to play on the Wednesday and wasn't up for it, and they had to drop out. I know with a couple of kids there, but you can't put them in when it's 1-1 and 2-1 against Fife, and obviously the game against Dundee 2 nights earlier as well. They got a bit of ice time on the Saturday, obviously with being 7-0 victory, but playing the 4 games in the 5 nights, I'm not surprised the boys were absolutely knackered. But to be 2-1 down, and as Davy said there, to pull West at an important time, you getting that penalty, and the penalty was created because of all the hard work in that zone. So again, you're still trying to put the effort in. You're still, you're still moving your feet, and that makes it easier for penalties to be called against you, because you're still trying to keep it going and get to the net. So I thought it was a really resilient performance on the Sunday night, and it's one of those ones where, as Davey just touched on it there, picking up 7 points of a 8-point road trip and being disappointed not to get the win on the Friday night. Ultimately, you know, when you look over that whole 12 period of play and regulation, you know, winning 11 off them, you know, you've got to take that as a massive positive. And then when you lose 3 goals in the second period on Friday night against Dundee, and then all of a sudden you come back, you get the fight back, and you get that game to overtime, you're feeling good. You think you're going to obviously pick up the win there as well. You've got the momentum, you've got everything going your way, and obviously, you know, it didn't turn out that way. But to come away with the shootout win over Fife after shooting 100 shots, 36 block, as Davey said, and again, I thought we dominated. I thought we played really, really well for being in that position of 4 and 5. So great to get the 2 points there. Great to see Conway have the wee celebration with the Fife fans and getting them to lose their kick. But overall, I don't think we can argue with picking up those 7 points in those 4 games. And Chris Revel that sent me an email last week, actually didn't send it to me, but sent it, and I responded to it. I said, look, just take one game at a time. That's the way it works. I think he was, you know, when you look at that, and I think the fans would probably look at that going, do you know what? 2 games in Dundee, 1 game in Fife. We are starting to play well. Got a brilliant win the night before against Guildford in Guildford. And then Coventry as well. Yeah, you would have thought Coventry's going to be the free one because they've got so many guys out. But those other 3 games and 3 nights are always going to be competitive. And I don't think too many Giants fans would give you, you know, too much of a hope going there and getting 3 wins. So 7 points in 8. I think it was a very, very positive week.
I'm just having a quick look as well. I think we have a 3-3 in a couple of weeks where it's 2 games at home to Guildford and then away to Guildford, just a Guildford triple. But outside of that, I think that our schedule sort of breaks up, shy on us having hopefully an extra game to play in there. But that sort of 4 in 5 is not something that we'll encounter again this season. We will get the 3-3 against Guildford. But no, that's all around a really good performance from the Giants. To come away with 7 from 8 is a positive. And well done to the lads. The highlights from that game. Oh, one actual thing before we do leave that game is and I know she's getting plaudits on Twitter for it. And Davy, you were very good. Is Laura Duff on commentary? It was a real upgrade there.
I thought she did really well, and you have to be very careful, because I don't mean that to be condescending. Well, she shouldn't do anything but do very well, because why shouldn't she? You get in trouble for saying some things, but I just thought she was really, really good. Contacted me for pronunciations for players. I'm not the right person to talk to, but I was going to troll, as Joel said, but no, we'll give her the right ones. But Laura did really well. I said we'll have to get her. We'll be playing them again. We'll get her on.
Fife on Saturday.
Well, too late now. Owner got her number. But I thought she did really well. Simon will tell you it, and you've done it as well. Joel's done it play by play. See, doing colour beside Simon, and he's talking about it, and there's a break in play, and he says, Davy, and you just describe what you've just seen. It's easy. Throw a wee bit of your own opinion in. Doing that, calling the game. He ran away one night. We were playing. He was like, "Oh, I've got a bird or something." Said something. Says it's gone, and he's like, Go, and you're like, and Rain has the puck, and he, Simon's got all how he identifies players so quickly.
The research that goes in,
the opposition especially. So hats off to anyone that does that play-by-play. So yes, very, very good. I thought you did really, really well.
Yeah, I said it in our group chat during the week. Like I quite enjoy the football play-by-play, but hockey is like football on fast forward, and I struggle enough to watch kind of the pace of football. So I would make an absolute fool of myself calling play-by-play on a hockey game. It is an underappreciated art, and it's much, much harder than anyone who has never tried it would ever believe. It's not just sitting watching the game, talking with your friends. So credit to anybody who steps up and can do a job.
There you go, Simon.
Just sit like this, man.
Yeah, no big deal.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal today, man. You have the highlights from that Flyers TV. I don't know if they're on YouTube yet, but they do usually put them up probably a week after.
Right. Well, here before you go, here we go. Just because I had these handy. So from the 4 games played, Slater Doggett 9 points, Mark Cooper 7 points, JJ Pickett 7 points, Ben Nick 5 points, Scott Conway 5 points, David Goodwin 5 points, Soisy 3, Griff 3, Cam Knight 2, Longer 2, Sam Rube 1. Rayner 1. Contributions right down the line there.
Spread.
Contributions
spread
right down the line. You'd young Kel came on Wednesday night, got a few shifts on Wednesday night, involved in the goal, gets himself a +1. So there's contributions all over the ice, and that's when you go on one of those 6-day trips, you need everybody contributing, and I thought everybody did. I talked earlier on about Soisy's pass across the ice. There's another one in, I can't remember, it's a Dundee game, Fife game, where Longer comes down the left wing and plays it in, and Soy is standing in the slot one-on-one with goalie, and instead of shooting from the blue paint, he just does a wee no-look pass. I can't remember who it is, comes in, slams it in at the back post. Lovely, lovely goal. He's got really, really nice vision. Like, good to see him getting a couple of points as well, because he's a wee slow start to January, and it's now February.
It is.
So I was just when you're, that's a real stat there. Whenever I'm going through the numbers, it's good to see the top 6 being really strong, and then the rest of the boys all contributing. Really nice road trip from the boys.
Good spread on there. Well done.
If we don't give one shout out,
going, but Davy's
if we don't give one shout out, he drove nearly 1,000 miles for this club.
Oh yes.
Half big nod. How many kit washes did he do? Towel washes, sock washes, whatever, jock washes. He did everything for a week nearly on the road, and driving 1,000 miles in that old van of his. So fair play to him.
Is he getting a bit of
974.4 actually? I know you like an accurate
get those stats in the spreadsheet.
That's a stat. That's a stat there.
To be honest, if it was filling a miles sheet in for work, it would be
1,074.4
miles.
No, look, you're absolutely right, Davy. I mean, I went down on Monday. The boys come back early Monday morning. I know that some of them stay up and watch the egg chasing, and they Taff went straight to the arena when he got off the ferry, and he was there until after lunch because he had with all those kits to wash, as you say. So it's just incredible, and look, he does it on his own. He does it all on his own. And even if you offered him help, and Davey will tell you this, the amount of times I've gone in to give him a hand, you're not folding that, right? And he appreciates you try, but you're sort of doubling the work for him because he has to take it out again, unfold it, fold it properly, and then set it down and put it where he wants to do it. He's just a bit you can't use that word on here. He's just a bit precise,
meticulous,
and yeah, he is very, very meticulous. So it's he was absolutely knackered, and to be honest, because the boys are all out tonight doing the golf, and I was trying to put a Taff to come on the podcast, but he says no, I'm not doing it. I'm sitting my feet up watching the football. So let him have that.
Nice one. They've done a top job as always. Right, you just mentioned it there, but Simon, as you can see, is trying to dry off from a trip down to the Gulf with the USC. While he was there, he had a chance to chat with Jordan Boucher and with David Goodwin.
David Goodwin on a rainy Tuesday night in Belfast at the OSC. First event of the year due to the current situation that we're in, and hopefully we're going to organise some more. And although it's a wet night, Goody, it's a bit of crack, and I believe that Andrew Dixon's leading the way with a couple of hole-in-ones.
Yeah, it's good to have a bit of crack with the fans. Obviously, these are some of our biggest supporters, so we're grateful for them. And the weather, it's a little tough, but it's still been a good time.
The weekend, or let's actually talk about the week. 4 games on the road, 4 games in 5 nights. Down with 3 lines. It's a tough ask. Surely you must be happy with 7 points out of 8.
Yeah, it was a grind, but you know what? 4 games, I thought we played pretty well in all 4 of them, and as you mentioned, 7 points out of 8, we'll take that.
And the weekend, as I say, it's the fatigue effort comes into it, and it's sort of difficult to remember everything that happens in all games, but being 2-1 down with a couple of minutes to go in Fife, getting that game time goal, and then obviously the shootout winner is a big plus.
Yeah, Kiefer made a good point after the game. It might not have been exactly how we wanted to get the 2 points, but we got the 2 points, and that's, at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
This week, back to work, Fife in Belfast on Saturday, away in Nottingham on Sunday, and then a Challenge Cup game next week against Nottingham as well. Games are coming thick and fast.
Yeah, not much time, to rest. We're back at it, with practice tomorrow. A huge week coming up, so we'll be ready to go.
Cheers, Goody. Thank you.
Cheers.
Jordan, last week, 4 games in 5 nights. You tried on Wednesday. Obviously, you picked up a bit of a niggle. Didn't work out. So you've got a good view of all the games the weekend. It's never easy watching your teammates. But 7 points out of 8. You must have been proud of the boys and the effort to put in.
Yeah, I think they played great. 7 points out of 8 on the road. They're not easy buildings to win in, especially Dundee, Fife. These guys play man on man down low. It takes a lot of traffic. It takes the dirty goals, and I think the guys did a great job bringing the pucks to net and scoring some nice goals.
Obviously, it started last Wednesday against the Coventry Blaze. Blaze with a team that's depleted with numbers. But some of those games are difficult to get mindset right, but the boys obviously put that right in the first period.
No, you're right, and and Coventry is a tough building to play. It's a pretty cool building to start with, and
especially when you're standing watching.
Exactly. Had a few tater tots over there. Definitely tough building to play in, and you know what? They scored the first goal, if I remember right, and the guys, did they?
Yeah, they scored the first goal, yeah.
And then the guys came back, and didn't face them, so it just proves that there's a lot of character in the room.
Again, Dundee, the 2 games in Dundee, which were always tough to go into, but a dominant performance with a 7-0 victory on Saturday night.
Yeah, you know what? Not an easy building to play in. Crowds on you the whole game. Guys did a good job. Stick to the process. And show a lot of character that first game as well. We were down 2 goals going into the third, tied the game. Unfortunate the outcome that happens in overtime, but you know what? Came back the next night, scored 6 goals unanswered. It's tough to say they didn't do anything right.
You've switched codes tonight. You're playing a bit of golf with the fans of the OSC event. I know the weather's obviously put a bit of a dampener on it, but bit of fun by everybody.
Yeah, I think it was good to meet the fans. You know, they support us every weekend, and it's the least we can do, right? We want to be as close to them as they are close to us, kind of when we're on the ice. It was great, you know. Unfortunately, it was a little bit rainy. The course was soaked, but you guys had fun, and it was a great event.
Dicko, hole in one.
Didn't see it.
Very good.
Dicko's hole in one. Did he have one or a couple of them? Two of them. Yeah,
What a boy! What a boy!
Not a bad return. Not a bad return.
What are you taking there, Simon?
Oh, thanks to Northern Ireland Supplements. Trying to get the big man on his feet after COVID still. Very much appreciated. I'll just have you have a bit of a laugh here. So I got a text from Dicko there. Where is it? Where's my trophy? I said, what for? He says, I got 2 hole-in-ones. Here's me, that's in my car. I'll sort it out. I want a presentation on the ice tomorrow morning, and I want Cons to give me it because he didn't get one. He says, what time's practice? Not sure. I said, well, if you don't know, I'm sure as hell I don't know. And he said, all right, okay, I'll find out. So we went and found out 10:15. Whereabouts? The Fun Bowl. Okay, no problem. I says, I'll see what I can sort for you. That's fine. Make sure you do.
Listen, serious competitor. You have to respect it.
But the problem was, there's no way I get away. Sorry, Davy. Do you want the video for it?
Oh yes,
believe it or not, we did get a video of one of those hole-in-ones.
No, the trophy presentation tomorrow.
Oh, trophy presentation, right? Okay, we'll do that. We'll get something sorted for that.
Get it on camera. We'll get it on a view from the bridge.
Get in the hole.
Ah, brilliant.
He's
right. News, Mr. Neil.
Yes, Paddy, in the Premier Sports Elite League this past week, there was a stunning capitulation by the Glasgow Clan at Ice Arena Wales last Wednesday. This actually ruined my day. Malcolm Cameron's side were 2-0 up until the 53rd minute and actually went out of their way 10 minutes beforehand to tweet, the last time we won in Cardiff. Unbelievable move. Until the 53rd minute before 4 unanswered goals from the Cardiff Devils sent them back to Scotland empty-handed. Cheers, boys. Nice one. On Friday, the Manchester Storm bounced back from last weekend's 1-point return from a Blaze doubleheader, defeating the Nottingham Panthers 4-2 at the Drizzle Dome. On Saturday, the Fife Flyers made the Davy, if you don't mind, I did my maths before I come onto the show tonight. The Fife Flyers made the 898-mile round trip in a bus to Guildford and got it done against the Flames, winning 5-1. That brutal bus trip was the debut of Fife's new D-man Kyle Thacker, who got his name on the score sheet against your Belfast Giants the following night. Elsewhere on Saturday, the Sheffield Steelers defeated the Manchester Storm 5-2 in Yorkshire, their first meeting, believe it or not, their first league meeting this season due to the COVID-19 shuffle. They did meet 4 times in the Challenge Cup, and that game was Sheffield making it a perfect 5 across all competitions. The Cardiff Devils widened the gap on the Nottingham Panthers with a 5-2 win at home, and the Glasgow Clan fell 6-4 to the Coventry Blaze in Braehead. On Sunday, it was another 4-point weekend for Sheffield as they dispatched the Glasgow Clan 3-2 at home, the winner coming in the 54th minute from Mark Vallerand. The Nottingham Panthers did us all a favour with a 4-1 home win over the Cardiff Devils on Sunday, and the Guildford Flames ran out 5-1 winners from the Coventry Banter Dome. Paddy, if you don't mind, if you got the standings there, fire them up, and we'll take a look at where we sit here.
Yeah, hold on. Of course, I'm not as prepared as I should be, Joel. But
okay,
Phil.
Phil.
Here we go.
Well, as we all know, it's still a 3-horse race at the top of the Elite League table. The Sheffield Steelers still lead the way with 55 points from 32 games played, and still only 4 regulation defeats all season. Your Belfast Giants leapfrog the Cardiff Devils into second place. Yeah, just love to see that with 52 points from 34 games, and maintain those 2 games in hand, crucially, as Cardiff sit 1 point behind with 36 games played. Way back in the distance at this point in the season, the Nottingham Panthers are in 4th with 33 points from 33 games played and are still really honestly struggling for consistency. I had a look back through their points and how they've picked them up. They've only got 2 regulation wins in their last 10 and a couple of overtime losses. The Guildford Flames,
how they're 4th. Can't understand.
It's mad. But if you look at how close the rest of the table is, the Guildford Flames remain in fifth with 30 from 33. And as I say, it gets tight in the bottom half of the table as the Blaze, Storm, and Clan sit within 2 points of each other. Once again, though, because of the way this season has been, it's important to note the differential in games played there. So after it shakes out, it could be a whole shuffle there. The Dundee Stars sit outside playoff contention by a single point with 25 from 30 games played. And the Fife Flyers remain bottom with only 8 regulation wins from 32, and they're 20 points. In other league news this week, Davy, if you don't mind, I'm being stats heavy tonight. I'm coming at you with distances and buses and all sorts. I'm going to open Dops news with a stat. Since Barry Brust, the one and only Barry Brust from Sheffield, was suspended on the 12th of December 2021, Dops have announced 4 suspensions. Those 4 suspensions have all been Cardiff Devils players, and Mark Lewis is 2 of them. So congratulations to the Cardiff Goon Squad. I'm sure we can all obviously safely assume that none of them were legitimate suspensions. The refs are out to get you, and it's just not fair. Sunday night in Cardiff, Devils forward Brandon McNally was ejected from the game and subsequently fined and suspended for a further 2 following an altercation with Panthers forward Matthew Toussignon. After consultation with match night officials, it was deemed that this is a stoppage of play where both teams are entitled to make a line change, with Cardiff being the home team and therefore having the last change. It was deemed that McNally left the bench as part of a legal line change. Legal line change. However, instead of proceeding directly to the ensuing face-off, he skates directly towards Toussignon and instigates an altercation, and you're not allowed to do that. And on Sunday afternoon in Nottingham, Devils D-man Mark Lewis, I feel like every time we talk about Dops, we talk about Mark Lewis. I think this is his 3rd this season. He was ejected from the game and subsequently fined and suspended for 2 games following an altercation with Panthers forward Sean Richards. Don't know if you saw this, boys, but there's a bit of contact between Richards and Carruth in the Cardiff goal, which was deemed incidental by the refs. Richards goes down, Lewis engages him with a bit of a cross check, and then they have a bit of a grappling match. The DOP says that initially they were both willingly engaged and attempted to get to their feet. While they were engaged, Justin Crandall comes in, tries to pull Richards away from Lewis. This ends up with Richards and Lewis falling back onto the ice, and the linos jump in, which would obviously at that point signal sort of the end of the altercation. But not for Mark Lewis, who attempts to grab Richards, who's no longer a willing combatant. He's restrained by the linesman, and instead of stopping, decides to throw a few big haymakers over the lino, which is stunning stuff. The DOPs actually did say that they understand that Lewis is frustrated on this play with what's perceived as unnecessary contact with his goaltender. DOPs has established in the past that players are not excused from punishment because they're acting in response to the actions of another player. These little notes that you start to see creeping into DOPs explanations are quite interesting based on previous cases and stuff. What causes this play to rise to the level of supplementary discipline is the nature of the punches, as in punching through a lino on the ground, and the force in which they are delivered to an opponent who is unable to protect himself. And both McNally and Lewis are repeat offenders. The only other thing I'm going to bring up...
What was the score at that point? As in, they obviously got a tanking in
tell you right now.
I think it was 2-1 to Nottingham.
So it was tight enough. It wasn't. This isn't the frustration from Lewis at being tanked, and he's just like, I'm just going to start punching people. It was actually a tight game at that.
Did anybody see the video?
Yeah.
Did you see? I mean, I can't remember which linesman it was, but I mean, one of the linesmen is holding Richards' arms while Lewis is laying on top of him, punching away at him. The other linesman standing watching. You know, you can't be doing that. It's not good for the game at all. And at the end of the day, if the other linesman gets engaged there and he gets hold of Lewis doesn't get suspended, or potentially doesn't get suspended. But, you know, if you've got a free one, you've got a free punch at somebody. In all fairness, I'd have took it myself, like.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt.
You know? Sorry, Joe, go for it.
No, not at all. The only other thing to mention, as has been announced today, the Coventry Blaze are back in COVID protocol, and as a result, tomorrow's road trip to Guildford has been cancelled. I might be wrong, but I don't see any Premier Sports games on the schedule at the moment. I'm not sure if there's a bit of a break or something.
Murph's
Murph's
he's at the Olympics. Good shout.
At the Olympics.
So tune into
the next, I think 3 of the next 4 games all feature the Glasgow Clan that are on Premier Sports. I don't know why, you know.
Joke.
Obviously, don't want to
use Patrick Smith.
Can we just quickly deal with one of the aspects of the news, or one of the is regards to that game in Coventry?
Do we have to?
Yes, because I just want to make a slight point. If people who aren't aware, the the DJ, the match night announcer at the Coventry Blaze, JD, who's a radio DJ, I think, in the city as well, was ejected from the game having donned a referee's shirt during the game and asked if the referees needed help, and then subsequently later announced, does anybody have a spare whistle, highlighting the fact that he was not happy with the referee and performance. Stefan Hogarth was one of the referees, and JD was ejected from the game. Coventry subsequently tweeted out support for JD and what he was undertaking, and obviously there was for those who follow on Twitter, there was a response last night from Stephen Hogarth, which has subsequently been deleted, which was unedifying for everybody. However, what I will say, and I just want to make this point personally, nobody comes out of this well. It's an absolute just ridiculous piece of embarrassment for the Elite League that you have a match night announcer who has a remit, regardless of when the puck drops to start the game and the buzzer ends the end of period. That's the game. The game belongs to the players on the ice and the officials that are officiating for it. Now, I have no issue, and you can, if I had something that you flashed up hypocrite, I would flash it up now. I have no issue with taking a rip at a referees. I have done it left, right, and center. We all have. We've done it on this very podcast, left, right, and center. But we haven't done it in a game, during the game, actually having a pop at the referee with a microphone in our hand in front, and as a means to whip up a crowd. That's what it was done. It was done as a means to whip up the crowd, and therefore whip up the crowd against the referee. That's out of order. Completely out of order in a game. Stefan Hogarth was right to eject him from the game. The Coventry players are wrong to back him, because it should be a case that the remit is, during the game, you announce what is going on from an official capacity. You're not there to comment on the game. The entertainment is on the ice. The entertainment is not you. Now, the other side of it being, unfortunately, what happened last night with Stephen Hogarth on Twitter, from my point of view, it doesn't need to happen. But all sides need to be professional here. I understand that the referees get a lot of jip. They get a lot of jip from everybody. But without the referees, we said time and time again, the game doesn't happen. So, as a whole, this is quite unedifying for the Elite League. There needs to be some sort of warning on all sides to say this cannot happen, because it was just embarrassing. On Twitter today, I had a bit of a back and forth with JD, the guy involved, and while I take his point, and he's tried to say to me that it's, people have been talking about it, and there's going to be new fans coming to the game above it. I don't buy that. That's
no,
nonsense.
There's not. No, there's not.
That's nonsense. What I will say is,
it's not.
Definitely on Coventry. He also said that the crowd went wild. The crowd haven't went wild since 2010.
The crowd went mild.
But what I will say is, what worried me from what he was putting forward, and yes, he's good at what he does. He's done it for 20 years. They're quite happy with what he does. There was no contrition or any sort of realization that the reaction that he got from Stefan Hogarth last night was not a response to nothing. It was a response to his actions that took place in the game. There has to be a level of contrition there and an understanding. There has to be a remit, because it's all well and good to say, I've done this for 20 years. In which case, then, something needs to be looked at, because you cannot have a pop to whip up a crowd in a game against the referee.
I think you're absolutely right, Paddy. I mean, there's so much wrong with everything that happened over this whole incident. And again, I wasn't in the arena, so I don't know. I haven't seen video of it, and I haven't really went looking for video. When I seen these messages coming out last night, and to be honest with you, there's not many officials that jump on Twitter anymore. I think that's probably because they get a load of flack. Now, look, there's banter and there's banter, and then there's being completely out of line. And some of the comments being aimed at Stefan Hogarth, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Davy, with Andy Dalton as well. Some of the comments being made against the officials they're bloody disgraceful. They're absolutely disgraceful. And it's usually with armchair warriors and, guys, faceless warriors who do it on their forums or do it on Twitter, and they don't come out and stand up and be counted about it. And I mean, as soon as I seen no messages from Stefan last night, I got in contact with him because it was blatantly obvious that he's not in a good place.
Yep.
Now, you know, that's just not right. And for somebody else, whether it's a fan or whether it's a Coventry fan, or whether it's another fan from another arena, having a go at him it's wrong. It's just wrong. We talk about, I mean, it's all over North America, especially with Bell. Let's talk. It was only a few weeks ago, and for me, it's. I had it a couple of weeks ago against the Cardiff Devils. It wasn't certainly to the effect of what's been aimed at Stefan and other officials, but at the start of the season, we are held accountable as commentators. We have meetings with the EIHL at the start of the season. Luke Fisher come on, he told us what's expected of us. I've tried to read that in a wee bit, and I'd be the first one to hold my hands up at. And I don't think I've been as hard on the officials this year as what I maybe was a couple of years ago.
Definitely not. You've definitely not.
No, and to be honest, that's because I think they're probably doing a better job. What they do is not an easy job. All these people having a go at them on Twitter, put a pair of skates on, go and do your courses and go and try it yourself. The reason they won't do it is they haven't got the balls to do it. And that's the bottom line. Without the officials, we do not have a game. If we don't have it, what happens this weekend if all the officials just said, you know what? We're not doing it anymore. We're going out and support Stefan Hogarth. What happens? There's no hockey. There's none. Wind your bloody neck in. It doesn't make a difference what you're doing. If you're having a bad day, yes, you can shout abuse at the official when you're on the ice. Keep it friendly. Keep it friendly. There's always, the Giants fans do it all the time. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. And 9 times out of 10, they actually do know what they're doing. They've got the right call, but the fans wanted to go their way. And I understand that. I understand that they just wanted to be there for their team. I absolutely get it. But the abuse that's been aimed at Stefan Hogarth, and again, Andy Dalton a couple of weeks ago, is bang out of order. Absolutely not acceptable. Give your head a wobble. Take a look at yourself in the mirror and grow up. It's absolutely disgraceful. In my opinion.
I think I probably weren't the only one. I dropped a game message last night as well. I got on really well with him. I think he's a really nice fella. I'm obviously never on the ice. I'm not part of him being a referee. I think all the referees do a great job. And to be honest, any of the referees I know, guys like Matt Rose, like Daltz, like Hoagie, James Irons, all of them, they're really sound fellas. You have to remember that they're human beings that also have jobs and lives and families and whatever else, and they're in it because they love the game. They're not in it to sabotage the game. Even guys like Smitty and stuff, they're not in it to try and ruin your day. They're not in it to try and cause grief. They're there because they love it and they want to be part of the game. I'm not going to excuse what Hoagie said on Twitter yesterday. I don't think Hoagie will excuse what he said on Twitter yesterday. The thing that stuck in my throat about that is that the internet these days and the way people communicate on the internet, people are far too busy and far too preoccupied with getting one up and having the moral high ground than actually having the critical thought to sit back and say, this is a human being. And that seems to me like someone who's not in a great place. You're far too busy worrying about point scoring to actually sit back and think like an actual human. That we all make mistakes. We're all not perfect. And to actually think, is he all right? That must be pretty tough for him. No excuse for what he said. I don't think he'll excuse it either. But it sticks in my throat. The number of people who are very quick to talk about hockey family and it's okay to not be okay. Listen, sometimes not being okay is pretty ugly. Sometimes it's something that you wouldn't agree with. Sometimes it's something that you wouldn't even like to see. Like some of those tweets. Like I don't think they were cool, to be honest, but have the critical thought to sit back and look at the situation and say, is that someone who's maybe struggling with this, getting piled on? And not only that, from someone who's an employee of a team. Like there are strict parameters for what you do when you go into an arena. Your job is what your job is. It's not your job to get involved like that. If any of us stepped out of line like that in our day jobs, if any of us stepped out of line like that in the arena, we would get collared. I've been collared before. I'm not going to go into it. It was a really good night, and I did. And I listen. I 100% agree with it. Younger and more stupid, and Fitzy nearly chokeslammed me, and I deserved it. I'm still terrified of him, but it just there's I think a lot of people need to sit back and think critically about this, and just have a bit of humanity, and realize that not everything's black and white, and stop worrying about point scoring, and honestly stop getting on like this. It's a really tough look for our sport. It's a really tough look for the league as a whole. Let's move on past this and just be a bit more emotionally in tune and a bit more kind of considerate.
Anything to add, Davy?
Joel has said very well there what I wanted to say, and Simon and yourself as well. Like, don't want to beat the drum too hard that we're trying to take some sort of moral high ground. Just before you press that wee blue triangle on Twitter or blue arrow, whatever it is, just think, do I really need to send this? The one that struck me last night, and Stefan Hogarth, whenever he looks back and he's deleted those tweets under advice or off his own back, he'll not look back on them, what he said himself with any great pride, but what the abuse he was taking is out of order, and he's just a guy. And we have to realize that we're all, okay, we're a podcast, we're four men. Guys have to look out for each other as well, and we've got to look out for the women as well. But guys need to look after. We talk about mental health all the time, and if you're not strong enough, if you're not in a good enough place to be reading them, Twitter's not the place to go. But if you're in a bad place and you go to Twitter, it's a swamp. It's an absolute sewer, and it wasn't a good place for Stefan to be last night. And he was getting it, and I seen the badly drawn put his little drawing up, and Hoagie replied to it with like, all I see is a guy that's given like 20 years to British hockey and doesn't have really anything outside. That's a guy that's not in a good place, and we need to support each other when we're in bad places. You don't need to be getting on Twitter and making it worse for somebody. When you step back and you look, he isn't having a good time here. Step back before you press that arrow. And if you want to reach out to him and tell him you support him, because I said last night on Twitter, you're more appreciated than you know you are. Simon talked about it there just a couple of minutes ago. Hang on to see if Ronaldo scores here. Hang on. Who scores it?
Wonder what you were watching.
Yeah, the important stuff out of the way there, mate.
I had Ronaldo 2 goals. It's important that we support each other. It's important that we support the referees. Because Simon said, I log. So whenever one of the spreadsheets I log is game-winning goal, man of the match, crowd, and who the referees and linesmen were. And the same names repeat in the referees columns, and the same names repeat in the linesman columns. And if you've got 6 games and you need 4 officials, and you've got 24 needed, you don't have very many more than that as a float. And it only takes 1 or 2 or 3 of these guys to say, enough's enough. And we are in big diffs. Or we're promoting guys from the EIHL who aren't up to the level yet. They're still learning their trade. And then you've got crowds on top of them because they don't have the experience or the ability yet. They're still training. They're still learning their trade. And it's a vicious circle. Get off these guys back. Shawnee Phillips, we called him out the other week on this show. What he said to Andy Dalton isn't acceptable on any level. On Twitter, on Facebook, and face-to-face. He wouldn't say it face-to-face. If you wouldn't say it to Stefan Hogarth's face, don't type it on Twitter. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, right. Let's move on. Thanks for doing
I can't move on.
Go on.
And when I was talking to Hoagie last night, and I told him I was going to mention the podcast. He says, "Oh, please don't." He was laughing at me, going nuts for a goal. He says, "What? You get louder as the game goes on," and I'm going, "I know." And he says, "Especially against teams that I don't like." And he went, "Why?" And I'm going, "Because I don't like them." I said, "Just annoys them even more. I just keep on doing it." And he went, "All right, okay." And then he sent me a voice note of imitating me doing a voice call. I can't share that bit with you. It was very funny. But I got a bit of a laugh out of him in a very difficult moment. So I thought that did my job anyway.
Good lad. Right. No TFA this week. Hopefully we get somebody on next week. I know the lads are probably cold and wet from the Gulfs like Sis is. So we asked you for a couple of questions on Twitter. And I'll pick a couple of these. We'll fly through a couple of these. We'll go to one each. I'll start off with Dylan Kaki, who asked, question to Davy, how many grey hairs does he have this week?
Listen, there's a genuine concern that Davy's going grey at the minute. I think we shouldn't be bringing it up.
Sorry, Davy.
Dylan Kaki's getting a wee bit too big for his boots.
He's getting smart. Spending too much time with Colin Shields.
Many grey hairs is in the back of my fist. Thank them.
Watch out for Twitter tomorrow to see Dylan Kaki's response. Stevie Thompson. Game scenario, playoff final. Giants are 1-0 up, 2 minutes left. Pickenic gets taken down on a breakaway. What would you rather have? 2-minute power play or penalty shot, Davy?
Oh man.
Oh, I'm getting this question as well.
Oh, so, well, no, I was going to run through you, so you can think about it. Says
penalty shot. You said JJ, didn't you?
JJ.
fancy my chance of a penalty shot.
Joel?
I can't bang the drum all night tonight for our special teams and the power play production over that road trip and not say that I would take the 2 minutes. 2 minutes, goalie pull, 6-on-4, shellac 'em.
What was the score?
Hold on. You said the score was what?
Giants are 1-0 up.
Aye, we're 1-0 up. Well done, Joel. Pay attention.
I don't know.
How long's left? How long's left?
2 minutes,
I
he said.
I think I've read this and I'm wondering, does he mean...
Have you read that right?
Yeah, I'm reading it. I'll read it again. Playoff final, Giants 1-0 up. I think he means 1-0 down, but Giants 1-0 up, 2 minutes left. Pickenich gets taken down on a breakaway. What would you rather
Surely
have?
then you take the power play still, though, and have the man advantage.
I take a power play.
If we're 1-0 down, I'm taking the penalty shot.
Yes.
Because the risk reward, even of putting the goalie 6-on-4, where they can shell pucks 200 feet in an empty net, is not worth it, in my opinion. If we're 1-0 up, I take the power play and rag a puck all around that rink. Have Griffin Reinhardt standing behind his own net, and we'll just shoot it down the ice.
Just basically waste as much time as we possibly can. Yep, I'm with you on that. John Smith, have we handicapped ourselves by not placing Murphy on the long-term IR and bringing someone else in? Joel?
That's a hindsight question, isn't it? You know, the fact that Darcy was suited and tried to come into the lineup a couple of weeks ago would tell you that he's probably closer to being ready and just keeps having maybe setbacks. So if you were 100% going to know if his leg was pointing the wrong way, 100% bring a new body in. But if it's something like that where you're working it and you're testing it and you're trying to get going, it's probably the right call to try and get him into the game.
I just think before you go to says I'll maybe be able to be even more clued in on it. I just think the market out there was a bit dry, and Giants will have been looking from when did he hurt himself? It was right at the start of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah,
wasn't that long in the season? Like Murphy's been out a long time, and he will have been scouring the market for a replacement. If we could have got one, there would have been one here.
100% right.
Well, let's have another one. Scott Cameron, of the games we've lost this season, which do you genuinely believe we deserve to win over any other? Simon?
Ooh. Yikes.
While he's thinking, the
first game in Cardiff
away.
That's
away.
First thing
Absolute
I thought.
Slam dunk.
First game in Cardiff.
Game should have been dead and buried. Yep. Second game in Cardiff as well. Take perm the two of them.
The 4-2 in November. Yeah.
Anything different for you, Joel? Are you going for that as well?
I scrambled for the schedule there to look back over the 7 regulation defeats we've had so far. So no, I'm going to defer to the experts on. Cardiff sounds like a good answer. Let's go with that.
Last one from a question point of view. Over the years, do you feel the game is changing for the better or worse? And what changes would you implement? Davy?
Is the game changing for the better or worse? You see, I like the physical side of the game, no doubt about that. Is there room for it anymore with what we know about? We're talking about mental health there, and we're then asking guys to punch each other in the head. It's a bit of a juxtaposition on that. But I like the physical side of the game. I like how the game's getting faster. I like the high skill players of JJ Pickenich, David Goodwin and Scott Conway when they get firing together. What would I change in the game? I'll come back to that, see what the boys think the game's changing when I think what would we change.
Joe?
Well, if you answer it from the EIHL perspective, it's definitely not the same physicality, not the same fighting for the sake of fighting as before. You guys know my opinion on that kind of late noughties and the Sean McMorrow era and stuff. Not a fan of it. I think it set back the reputation of hockey here by a fair bit. A lot of people thought it was like pro wrestling because of the way in which he engaged. Quite glad to see that element of the game gone. I think there's still a place for, if it's two willing combatants, I think there's still a place for it. I think our league has has improved has improved year on year in terms of skill, in terms of speed. We obviously are back down to 3-line hockey again. That depth of having 4 lines was definitely advantageous to the league. I think probably the wider discussion, and there's a great podcast on it that I actually watched really recently, the special that you guys did with with Neil Coach Russell and Chrissy Ellis just about the Brit import limit and stuff. Really, really worth going back in the AVFTB archives and watching that. Obviously, British development, more local players, financial sustainability of having local players is probably a wider issue in the EIHL. I wouldn't say it's better or worse. It's certainly different, but I think that the quality of hockey year on year has definitely improved over the last 10.
Simon.
Yeah, I think it's got better and better. Again, I would still like to see, the option of players, if teams want to have, 4 forward lines, 3 sets a day, and 2 goalies on the bench. I think they should be able to have it. I think it's sort of, again, looking back at that show that you've done at the start of the season with the Brits and what have you, I still think there's a place there for the likes of Mac, Cal, some of the other younger kids that are coming through. Whether that, if they get a chance to go and play with the SNL team on a Saturday when you've got a game at home and you've still got, for argument's sake, 10 or 11 forwards, and they should be playing SNL because they're getting nice time, they're developing quicker instead of sitting on the bench and watching in a tight game. All right, it's a good view against the Cardiff Devils sitting there when you're winning 5-3 and you're not getting the shift. But for me, it's the league is definitely better now than what it was right at the very start. With the Elite League, was it as I would argue the point, it's right up there with regards to the way the Super League started for the Belfast Giants as well. I think the standard of hockey now is getting better and better. I think it's getting faster. Obviously, we'll talk about speed kills with regards to lineups we put together, and you're getting quality goaltenders in this league throughout. And there's, long gone are days when you just sort of have to turn up against the Edinburgh Capitals on a Sunday afternoon, and you're getting the win. Any team in this league can beat any other team at any given day. So the competitive side of things, I really enjoy. With regards to a change, again, there's so many things that are. You can sit and think about, and you could put your head together, and that's probably for another podcast. But I just think that we should be given, as I say, it's not a development league, but we should be giving the kids, the younger kids, a chance of getting into the lineup if there's room for them. I still can't get my head around, you're only allowed 19 players, and that means you have to possibly set a Brit. I just don't get that. It's a British league. It's the Elite League, and it's not doing anything for the GB national teams. But it's, they talk about, stepping down and playing in EIHL with the greatest respect in the world. That level of hockey is nowhere near what it is with regards to the Elite League.
Nope, definitely not. Okay, one last one, which isn't a question, just a statement from Alan Brett. Not so much of a question, he says, but a big thank you to the Giants OSC for organising the crazy golf this evening, and for the players attending a somewhat soggy night in Dundonald. So yes, well done to all there. Thanks to everybody who sent in questions, and Davy will tackle the ones that we didn't do. You'll do those tomorrow, won't you, Davy? Good man, thank you.
Top boy.
2 games this weekend for the Belfast Giants. Back home against the Fife Flyers on Saturday at 7 p.m. at the SSE Arena. And you get that in Giants TV before travelling over to face the Nottingham Panthers at the NIC on Sunday at 4 p.m. And you can get that on Panthers TV. Any other business, boys?
Sorry, David, go ahead.
I'm going to promote another podcast of someone that Joel's just basically slagged off there, but I don't mind. The Sheriff, Sean McMorrow, has his own podcast, and this week he had on erstwhile from this parish, the GOAT, Colin Shields. For it's not as good as the one-on-one, I'm sure. I haven't listened to it yet, but I will. But a little introspective of his career in Belfast along with Colin Shields, so worth a listen to, I'm sure.
Introspective of Colin Shields' career or of Sean
it's probably
McMorrow's
more
career
about it's probably more about his humanitarian work and school visits and stuff. But yes,
the humanitarian of the year. That's what he was.
Good lad.
I'll check that out. Says you were going to go for him.
Yeah, just to reiterate what I think it was Alan Brett, was it you said there a few minutes ago about the OSC. Thanks to all the OSC volunteers again. They weren't participating tonight; they were just standing in the rain, just helping out. Getting people around. Thanks to Paris Adventure Golf at the Dundonald Ice Bowl for giving us the time and obviously the whole course themselves at one point. So, and thanks to everybody for turning up, and obviously thanks to the boys who turned up to help us out and have a bit of fun with it. So I think Andrew Dixon's sort of nominated himself as the player of the night. And I'm sure Scott Conway and Lewis Hook were having a little bit of they wanted to have 18 holes on their own after everything was finished there. So we'll try and we've got a bit of video content with that. And Hook owes me a tenner. That's all we're saying.
That's all leave it at that. Anything from yourself, Joel?
Tip of the cap to all of the Elite League teams around the UK who facilitated and helped out with Team McLean's road trip. Obviously, they're Yvette and Amy and Andrew. They've been talking more and more just about obviously the situation with Ethan and how things are moving and how they're trying their best to kind of fit in as many memories and as many kind of little box ticks as possible for the wee man. So it's very lovely for all of the arguments and for all of bickering and chirping and whatever else. There are those very pure moments that give you kind of faith in humanity and faith in our league. So it was really lovely to see them get the red carpet treatment. The wee man deserves it. He puts up with a lot, and it was really cool to see. Also, shout out Kieran Long, who now has himself positioned in a barbershop. He's going to be cutting real hair in a real barbershop, and go on Longer's Twitter or Instagram and see where you can get booked in. He does a good.
He wants to go with you, by the way.
He already has, believe it or not.
That's why you're wearing a hat all the time.
Longer did a top job for me a few weeks back, but I'll be back in to see him. The man does a sick fade. Fair play to him.
I want to just finish off by saying a big shout out to Jim Neal on Instagram, who's a favorite of mine. And if anybody wants to know why, I'm going to put that picture up. You honestly don't know who Jim Neal is?
Me and Jim Neal are not related, mate.
Well, I'll tell you what, you look like Jim Neal. It's one of the most entertaining things I've had in the last few days.
I'm in Larne. Yeah, we might be related.
I hear he's on another podcast and is a big Carrick Rangers fan. So but on that, thanks, gents. We'll wrap things up there. As I said, Belfast Giants against the Fife Flyers Saturday at 7 p.m. at the SSE Arena. I'm looking forward to getting to that one myself. Hooray! If you can't get to the game, you can follow it on Giants TV with the amiable Mr. Simon Kitchen.
Smith.
Hopefully, possibly. Unless I'm
just hoping to get a night off, mate. You can knock yourself out.
I'm not doing no play-by-play. You can forget it.
I'll deliver the Beer Moretti's into media for you. You don't even have to leave the booth, mate. We've got you covered. Don't worry.
Oh dear. I couldn't get away with it last time, did I? And then on Sunday at 4 p.m. we travel back to the NIC to face the Nottingham Panthers, and that hopefully will be on Panthers TV because they've got their webcast now, haven't they? Big thanks to David Goodwin and Jordan Boucher. Thanks to Davy for cutting the video, Simon for doing the interviews, and Joel for doing the news. Thanks, gents, for joining us as you always do.
Thanks, boys.
You can get us at AVFTB on Twitter, Facebook, kingdomofthegiants.com on your normal podcast provider. And you can, of course, see our faces on YouTube with little clips and bits and pieces besides. And wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey. We'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.